Welcome to Windy City Hauntings, where the shadows of Chicago tell blood-curdling stories. Today I bring you 3 terrifying experiences lived by ordinary people, trapped in moments they will never forget. From an abandoned hospital to a lonely road and subway tunnels. These stories, based on true legends, will have you questioning what lurks in the Windy City. Turn off the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare for fear. Story 1: Echoes of screams in an old, abandoned hospital. It was a moonless night, and my friends and I were in front of the Manteno State Hospital, a giant concrete covered in ivy and rumors of ghosts. As an urban explorer, I'd seen abandoned places before, but this one was different. The air felt heavy, as if someone were watching us from the broken windows. We entered through a side door, our flashlights barely cutting through the darkness. The smell of mold was overwhelming and the hallways seemed endless, with rusty beds and papers strewn across the floor. My friends laughed to ease the tension, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Then I heard it, a high-pitched scream, as if someone was suffering. It came from deep within the building. My friends heard it too, and we looked at each other, hesitating. "Let's see what it is," I said, although my heart was pounding. We followed the sound to an operating room, where a stretcher with leather straps seemed to be waiting for someone. Suddenly the temperature dropped. In the corner I saw a figure. A woman in a nurse's uniform, her face pale and her empty eyes fixed on me. He didn't move, but I felt his gaze piercing me. I tried to speak, but my voice broke. When I blinked, she was gone, but the screams returned, louder, echoing off the walls. We ran to the exit, stumbling over debris, the echo of those wails chasing us. Outside, the silence of the night was a relief, but I will never forget that look. Later, I learned that Manteno is a place of cruel experiments, and many believe that patients are still trapped there. Summary of the real story: Manteno State Hospital, opened in 1930 and closed in 1985, was a psychiatric facility in Illinois, known for treatments such as lobotomies and electroshock. In addition to an outbreak of typhoid fever in 1939 that killed 47 patients, urban explorers report apparitions of patients and nurses, voices on muted intercoms, and an oppressive atmosphere. Although much of the complex has been demolished, its reputation as a haunted place, Manteno State Hospital, persists. Story 2: A white figure appearing on Lakeshore Drive. I was driving down Lakeshore Drive after 2 a.m, after a grueling shift. Fog covered Lake Michigan and the road was deserted, lit only by streetlights. I felt lonely, but calm, until I saw her. A young woman stood on the sidewalk, wearing a white dress that glowed in the dark. He raised his hand as if asking for help. I slowed down, hesitating, but something in his posture made me stop. He climbed into the back seat without saying anything. "Where are you going?" I asked, but he only pointed ahead. I looked in the rearview mirror, and his face ran cold in my blood, pale, almost translucent, with eyes that didn't blink. I tried to speak, to ask his name, but the silence was suffocating. The air became cold, and my breath formed mist. Suddenly he said in a soft voice, "It's okay here." I looked around. There were no houses, only the lake and the empty road. I turned to talk to him, but the seat was empty. The back door was locked, and there was no sign of her. My heart was pounding so hard I could barely breathe. I got out of the car, searching in the fog, but I was alone. I drove home, trembling, unable to explain it. A friend told me about Resurrection Mary, a young woman who died in an accident and appears to drivers. Although his story is tied to another road, what I saw that night on Lakeshore Drive makes me believe that I was not alone. True story. Summary: The Legend of Resurrection. Mary tells the story of a young woman who died in an accident in the 1930s and is listed as a hitchhiker on Archer Avenue near Resurrection Cemetery in Justice. Drivers report that he disappears as he passes by the cemetery. Although there are no specific records of sightings on Lakeshore Drive, fog and accidents on this road have inspired similar accounts, fueling the mythology of Chicago. Chicago Tribune. Story 3. Something lurking from the Red Line subway. I took the last train on the Red Line after 11 o'clock at night. The car was almost empty, just me and a sleeping man in the back. The lights flickered, and the rattle of the train was the only thing that broke the silence. I sat near the door, looking at my reflection in the window, but something didn't feel right. Suddenly the lights went out for a second, and when they returned, I saw something in the reflection. A tall, thin figure at the end of the car. I turned my head, but there was nothing. My pulse quickened, but I told myself it was my imagination. Then I heard a sound, like a low growl coming from the darkness. The lights flickered again, and there it was. A creature with pale skin, long arms, and red eyes that glowed like embers. He was moving toward me, not walking, but gliding, as if he didn't touch the ground. I screamed, but the man in the back didn't move. I threw myself on the floor, hiding under a seat, praying that he wouldn't see me. The train came to a screeching halt, and darkness enveloped everything. I felt a pressure in my chest as if something was on top of me. Then the lights came back, and the train started. The figure had disappeared, but the air was still heavy, as if it was still there. I got off at the next station, running without looking back. I never took the Red Line again at night. Some say that the tunnels are cursed, that something lives in them, waiting for the lonely passengers. There are no documented paranormal stories specifically about the Chicago subway Red Line, but the underground tunnels and nighttime vibe of the L system inspire urban legends. The Red Line, which operates 24 hours a day and crosses diverse neighborhoods, has been the scene of disturbing crimes and events, fueling accounts of shadowy figures and unexplained presences. Chicago Magazine. These 3 stories show us that Chicago is more than skyscrapers and bright lights. It is a city where the past still whispers in the darkness. From the screams of Manteno to the white figure of Lakeshore Drive to the terror on the Red Line, these experiences remind us that sometimes what we don't see is what we should fear most. If you were shaken by these stories, subscribe to our channel for more chilling stories. Leave a comment telling us if you have experienced anything paranormal in Chicago. See you in the next one, if you dare.